Chapter 2. The Telephone Tip. The three boys were stunned by the man's unexpected threat and actions. "Of all the creeps!" Chet spluttered when he found his voice. "How's that for gratitude?" "I'm going after that guy," Joe exploded. He yanked open the door and started to jump out, but Frank stopped him. "Hold it, Joe. You may never catch him now. You'll never catch him now. Besides, he may be armed." Joe realized the wisdom of his brother's advice and reluctantly climbed back into the car. The neighborhood was run down. It was poorly lighted and had numerous vacant lots and small factory buildings. The stranger was already out of sight and doubtless could find plenty of hiding spots if pursued. "I'd like to find out what the fellow was so afraid of," Joe muttered as they drove off. "Also, how he came to be there, lying there unconscious." "So would I," Frank said. "We better notify the police." Look, fellas, I am pretty tired," Chet said uneasily. "Could you drop me off at home first?" "What's the matter?" Joe teased. "Afraid the police may hold you as a suspect?" "I told you I'm bushed," Chet retorted. "Besides, you Hardys are always getting me mixed up in all this crooks and mysteries. This kind of stuff makes me nervous." Frank and Joe grinned in the darkness. It was true that they had worked on a number of exciting cases since the first one, the Tower Treasure. On their most recent adventure, they had solved the mystery of the Twisted Claw. After dropping Chet off at the Morton farm, the Hardys drove to Bayport Police Headquarters. They found Chief Colleague working late. The husky man smiled broadly as they walked into the office. "You boys busy on another case?" "We're helping Dad," Frank explained. But something else came up. He told them about the unconscious man who had later revived in their car and fled after threatening them. Colleague agreed that while the episode was strange, apparently no crime had been committed. He telephoned the fugitive's description to the police radio dispatcher to be flashed to all prowl cars, with orders that the man be picked up for questioning. Frank told him about the boys' pursuit of the black sports car and the smoke grenade that had forced them off the road. No straying, huh?" The chief frowned. "I've heard about him. He's a slick operator, but he's not on the wanted list right now. Do you know why your father's after him?" No, we don't," Frank said, "but Dad just asked us to trail him and try to get a line on what he's up to." "We got the license number," Joe added, "but we'd like to know if the man we were following was straying. We didn't get a good look at him." Colleague jotted down a number. "I'll check on the motor vehicle bureau. I appreciate you stopping by." The boys went outside to the convertible. As Frank felt in his pocket for his car keys, his expression changed to one of annoyance. "I've lost my pocket knife, Joe. Wonder if I dropped it out back there when I was bending over that fellow." "Could be," Joe said. "We can search for it tomorrow. I want to get a good look at that tiled square thingy that Chet told us about." "Same here." Frank took the wheel and drove off through late evening traffic. Suddenly a red light flashed on the dashboard shortwave radio. Joe picked up the microphone. "Joe Hardy here."
"Good evening, son."
Fenton Hardy's voice came over the speaker. "Dad, when did you get home?" "Just arrived."
Where are you boys fellows now?"
We're downtown in the car. In fact, we're headed for home."
"Good. This case I'm working on looks pretty tough and I may need your help. I'll have to leave again first thing in the morning, so I'd like to fill you in the details of this evening."
"We'll be there pronto, Dad." A short time later, the convertible pulled into the driveway of the Hardys' large, pleasant house on a tree-shaded street. The boys jumped out and hurried inside. Fenton Hardy, a tall, rugged-looking man, was in the dining room having a cup of coffee. Seated at the table were Miss Hardy and boy's Aunt Gertrude, their unmarried sister. The detective greeted Frank and Joe with a warm smile. "Sit down, boys. I'd like to tell you what the case is all about." Mr. Hardy explained that he had been asked by a group of insurance underwriters to investigate a series of jewel thieves. The latest had occurred in New York the day before. "We heard of the news flash on that, Dad," Joe exclaimed. "Undoubtedly, all the thefts have been pulled by the same gang," the detective went on. "And there's one odd feature. On every job, the guards or other persons involved seem to have lost their memory for a short period of time while the robbery was taking place. You mean they passed out? Frank asked. Fred and Hardy shrugged, and none of them recalls passing out, but they all report a sensation of coming to or snapping out of a deep sleep as they had lapsed into unconscious without realizing it. Gertrude Hardy, a tall, angular woman, pursed her lips and frowned shrewdly.
If you ask me, you were all gassed, she declared. Some kind of nerve gas, probably squirted the victims through a blowpipe.
Frank and Joe tried hard not to grin. Their aunt had definite opinions and never hesitated to express them. They may have been gassed, Mr. Hardy agreed, but if so, it's strange that the police experts were unable to discover any traces in the atmosphere afterwards, after the crooks sucked it all back into their blowpipes, Joe said mischievously. Aunt Gertrude gave a withering look and
making fun of me, aren't you? Well, maybe you have a better theory, young man.
Laura Hardy, a slim and friendly woman, exchanged a fleeting smile with her husband. Both knew that Aunt Gertrude loved to talk about the detective cases with her brother and the boys, even though she pretended to disapprove of such dangerous works. Matter of fact, we got gas ourselves tonight, Fred put in quietly. He told about the chase of the black sports car, but glossed over the part about skidding over the road. Fred and Hardy knit his brows. Do you think the driver could have recognized you, maybe from seeing your pictures in the paper? Frank shook his head. I doubt it. Although he may have glimpsed us through the rearview mirror when we passed the streetlight, I think when he spotted us tailing him, used the smoke screen to shake us.
Why, that's a man of menace.
Aunt Gertrude blurted out indignantly.
Why didn't you radio the police at once? Mark my words, you'll...
The ringing of a telephone interrupted Aunt Gertrude's prediction. Joe jumped up to answer it.
Let me speak to Fred and Hardy,
said a curt, muffled voice. Who's calling, please? Joe asked.
None of your business. Just tell him to get on the phone if he wants to learn something very important.
Fred and Hardy strode quickly to Joe's side and to the receiver. All right, I'm listening.
Another Joel Hayes has been planned. It's going to be pulled at the roundabout jockey named Wanda. She's due in East Hampton, Long Island, late tonight or early morning, or tomorrow morning. Got that?
I have it, the detective replied. But who is this speaking?
A friend. I don't bother trying to fair trace this call.
There was a cut of click on the other end of the line. Mr. Hardy hung up thoughtfully and told the boys what the informer had said. I better follow up that tip-off, he added. I'll drive down to East Hampton. Are you sure that's wise, Dad? Frank asked readily. That call might be a trick. It's chance off the take, son. Mr. Hardy telephoned Suffolk Country Police Headquarters on the Lone Island to report the tip. Before leaving the house, he suggested that the boys re-study the photo of Strang in his file, and also the typewritten data on the reverse side of it. Mind you, we have nothing on him, the detective said, but I think he's the one of the few jewel thieves in the country capable of masterminding a series of robberies like the ones I've been investigating. Do you want the police to take him in for the questioning? No, that would only put him on guard, but I would like to know what he's doing in Bayport. We'll keep an eye on him, Frank promised. Mr. Hardy then placed a long-distance call to his top-flight operator, Sam Radley. Sam had flown to Florida on a charter pilot named Jack Wayne to wind up another case. Fenn Hardy instructed Sam to join him at the East Hampton the following day. Next morning, Frank and Joe ate a hearty breakfast of bacon, eggs, homemade muffins. Then they started up their convertible to pick up Chetney. After some grumbling, the stout boy agreed to help them search for the curious town square they had seen the night before. Frank pulled up the dirt lane near the big oak tree. I don't know why I let you two talk me into this, Chet complained as he started up the slope. I just can't seem to stay out of danger when you're around. Joe laughed. Stop gripping. You don't expect to hear any other spooks in the broad daylight, do you? When they had reached the level ground, Frank remarked, Say, I see a house over there. Joe and Chet looked in the direction he was pointing. A large, weather-beaten mansion was visible through the trees some distance away. didn't notice any lights over that way last night, Joe said. Wonder if anybody lives there. Maybe not, I said. Looks pretty run down. For half an hour, the boys searched among the tall weeds and overgrown shrubbery. They failed to sight the tiled surface that Chet had described or to find Frank's knife. Are you sure you weren't seeing things last night? Frank asked Chet. Joe chuckled. Maybe he was just hearing things too. Before Chet could reply, a voice barked around. Stand right where you are and don't turn around, all of you! The boys roared in surprise. A tall, hog-faced man with a thin, prominent nose was standing among the trees watching them. He had a hand in his suit coat pocket as if concealing a gun. Frank and Joe gasped. The man looked like the one in the photograph of Noel Strang that the father had in their files. To find out what happens to Frank and Joe, make sure to stay tuned for Chapter 3 of The Disappearing Floor.